Amazing. We are back after that beautiful song break. I hope you got to enjoy the selection that we make. But anyway, it's time for us to have a look at the newspaper, see what is being reported this day. And of course, I'm seeing here quite a bad news, I would say, because Trump aid freeze triggers HIV crisis. So it says here that U.S. President's USAID funding cuts have significantly impacted Kenya's HIV treatment program. Patients previously receiving 6-month antiretroviral supplies now get fewer drugs, forcing frequent hospital visits and increased costs. Viral load testing, once free, now costs up to 3,000 shillings. Decades of HIV progress could be wiped out. And this is unfortunate. It has been covered in the Healthy Nation magazine as well, which is very sad. And we have got to pray because we do not want the progress that we have made when it comes to the HIV infections to spiral back to where it used to be. And it's a prayer point that God will really help us, that even when that aid has been withdrawn, that even we as a country can still put up measures that ensure that HIV is still under control, just as it has been all this while. And of course, I'm going to also have a look at the politics segment here that is saying ODM moves to preempt post-Raila power feud. Siaya Senator Oburu Odinga yesterday chaired the first meeting of ODM's key organ, Central Management Committee, as interim party leader with Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who has adopted a hawkish stand regarding reading out the resolutions. Among them is a plea to members to resist the divisive scramble to fill the power vacuum left by the death of party leader Raila Odinga. Because the question is then who is going to step into his shoes? But of course, they've advised against that so that now it doesn't turn into a competition of power struggles. And I also see page 26 covering Biya 92 wins 8th term in Cameroon, sparking riots. Way 8 terms, we are here complaining of 1 term, 2 term, Biya, who is 92. Hey, 92. The people who are grace long life for wins 8th term, and then he has won again in Cameroon. That is a story covered on page 26. I think it's a very interesting story that you can have a look. Each container is opened and locked. If the trial is successful, the smart padlocks will be used in all the containers to complement the current double lock system. Each container has 2 padlocks with the 2 keys held by the sub-county director of education and the deputy county commissioner. This is the story covered on pages 4 and 5. Quite an interesting story right there of smart padlocks. I think even with the surge of cheating that sometimes is even fueled by the teachers themselves or the, invigilators, you find that they have seen as there's an introduction of smart padlocks that ensure that neck can literally track when you open it and when you close it. So that is what is being reported, and I think the education sector is making great milestones to curb cheating. And moving on, looking at what the Standard is reporting today, I see cabinet secretaries have been traversing the country in full campaign mode, and that is using public resources and state reforms to drum up support for UDA candidates in the ongoing by-election campaigns and President Ruto's 2027 second-term bid. So the campaigns have drawn senior public servants, including those that hold offices in the Constitution, determines to be purely apolitical. Now, LSK wants a court determination to bar them from active politics, arguing that such behavior is partisan, a case of misuse of office, making them unfit to serve all Kenyans. This is a story covered on page 6 under the tagline abuse of office. And moving on, I say yes, our citizens have been lured into the Russian war against Ukraine. Mudavadi says, and the government has acknowledged this newspaper's revelation, saying it is working with Russian authorities to trace citizens lured into the war front and enable them to reach Kenya's mission in Moscow for help to travel back home. This is a story covered on page 6. I think them being put in the front line is more of what David did with Uriah, because he wanted him to be killed, and eventually he was. So I think that is just an illustration of it. And you see, this is a story that we did cover yesterday with the headline "Trapped in Russia." So you can look at that in more details. And the audit here, the financial standard states state farms or withhold Kenya's 330 billion shillings. So it's saying here that a collection of only 65 billion shillings over 6 years has left a huge cash in unclaimed assets, with private and public sectors, with government institutions being the worst offenders. Quite interesting. So 25. And I also see here that ODM vows to remain in broad-based government, honor Raila's legacy. So that is what is happening there. And I also see the Business Daily this morning covering Treasury moves to curb insurance payout denials. And that's a story, well illustrated right there on the Business Daily. And more news saying here that Kenya is setting up a sovereign wealth fund that will be barred from investing in local bonds and stocks. So Kenya Wealth Fund barred from local bonds and stock. I also see solar farm takes on copper with assembly plant. And there's a quote here by Mike Eldon saying, do you have staff surveys circulating in your organization? Do they result in cost-effective returns? A question for those who own companies to ponder on. So that's the end of our newspaper review, just checking the highlights, seeing what is being reported so that we can be on the know. And I think today we have picked that there's a prayer request, there's a prayer item to pray about. The HIV prevalence has gone down for a long time. Like right now, the developments that have been there have been so wonderful. People who have, suffered from HIV and AIDS are doing very well because of the provisions that have been there, the aid that has been there from the United States. But right now, we see that Trump has withdrawn. And of course, the fear is that we will go back to that place where HIV was a huge menace and a huge calamity. But we can pray, and the Lord can really see us through, so that the moment that goes down, it will lead to more infection. So that means that it's something that we need to pray about as a nation, so that whether or not we get the aid from the US, that God is still going to make it possible for our country to sustain what has been there, the developments that have been there, and that we will not go downhill, but that we will continue to do well in that sector. So you can also tune in to Hope FM. At the top of every hour, we have news updates. And right here at Hope TV, at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., we have News Watch. And that means you can keep in touch and know what is being reported, what is happening in our nation and also beyond. So right about now, let's have a look at the video of the day.